It's Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This May, Queens Public Library honors a legacy of leadership and resilience, celebrating the strength, vision, and lasting impact of AANHPI leaders who have paved the way for future generations. Join us for special programs, book recommendations, and more at queenslib.org/AANHPI 2025. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and QPL is joining the national movement to bring awareness to mental health and to fight the stigma that surrounds it. We're also offering programs, workshops, and resources designed to help teens and adults build the coping strategies that will assist them now and in the future. Visit queenslibrary.org to learn more. Stay connected to Queens Public Library on social media. It's where you'll find great QPL content, updates about what's happening at the library, and much more. Search for us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads, YouTube, and X. And don't forget, we have an Instagram just for QPL teens, too.
Good evening, everyone. We are celebrating Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Today, we have a very, very special guest, Dr. Elora Rafiq. And today is our second episode, Immigrant Pioneer Women in America. Queens Public Library presenting Dr. Elora Rafiq, who graduated from Columbia University Mailman School in Health Policy and Management in 2000. Dr. Rafiq was awarded the Research in Distinction and Behavioral Science Award. She is the medical director and founder of Nirvana Integrative Medicine. Dr. Rafiq is passionate about community-based outreach. During her journey with breast cancer, she spearheaded a Susan G. Komen grant through SAPNA NYC, targeting breast cancer awareness and screening of South Asian women. Dr. Rafiq will talk about the importance, contributions, and impact of Bangladeshi immigrant women in American society. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Elora Rafiq. How you are doing, Dr. Rafiq?
I'm doing great. Thank you. It's such an honor to be with you, Selena, and everyone online.
Thank you so much for joining with us. And then first, I'm going to ask you, can you please tell us about yourself?
Well, I think I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share with everyone my journey, but mostly because it's associated with the Queens Public Library. It's really something that I hold very dear to my heart. I was in elementary school in Queens, and the Queens Public Library was a real good source of my learning and my upbringing. And it was definitely a place of cultural gathering and learning from my family as they became new immigrants in New York. So I really appreciate that. 50 years ago, I came to America as a 3-year-old child. And if you saw that beautiful photo that we opened up with, my parents, came with their great hopes and ambitions, as most immigrants do. And, America is the place where immigrants find their voice. And so I did find my voice in my journey. And so much of it was shaped a lot by Queens and the family and the communities of Bangladeshi Americans that, raised us and gave us their hopes and dreams. And so, I always feel that, it's a privilege and it's an honor, but, you must always think about your character and your commitment, because so many have sacrificed to bring you here. So when you think of your family, like your family as well, they must be very proud of you, Selena, here today. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, today is a very special episode from us. I'd like to add to this. Thank you so much. The way this event or program is started, it is a very innovative way to connect the library with the immigrant pioneer women's, journey, and then building the bridges with the community and the Queens Public Library, so that many successful immigrant women story could be heard. So I'm so proud, and I'm proud for you that we are presenting you today, so we can hear your special own breast cancer survival, story. So without further ado, let's hear from your story. Thank you, Laura.
Great. Thank you so much, Selena. I'm really, really honored also to be a breast cancer survivor. This would be my 12th year. I was diagnosed in 2014, but the real story began in my healing was really when I was a girl in Jamaica growing up in Queens, and my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 32. She was really young. And at that time, in the 1980s, there wasn't as much information about breast cancer. And she was young. She was actually expecting a child. And it was a very difficult time as a new immigrant to be, faced with these fears of the future and what would hold. But I believe that really has been like my North Star, my mother's journey. And if you can think of that, like, as a teenage girl growing up, that's a difficult time. But I faced it with my mother, and she was a survivor for 23 years. And she was treated mostly in Queens. But I do remember that the Queens Public Library was a source of support for her. Those days, not too many South Asian women and not too many women of color in general found support groups or initiatives. Even the Susan G. Komen and the Pink Ribbon hadn't even started. So those were difficult times when you were going through some of this alone. So she found a lot of solace and refuge. My mother was very progressive, and she always wanted to think that knowledge would be power. And when you're facing something that is a challenge, definitely a good idea to learn and to read as much as you can. So I remember going with her to the public library at Merrick, and there was an aisle that I still remember where all the cancer books were. And she decided that she would read and empower herself with understanding around what the condition was that she was going to face, how long it might take. And at that time, there weren't too many books. Like now, we can find, I think, a whole aisle for breast cancer patients to really, take advantage of. But there was a big book, Dr. Susan Love's breast book. And she read it page to page. She sought out all the information she could because she really wanted to survive. And I think her resilience and her courage and her tenacity in facing something so difficult while still being a young mother is something that I hold very dear. So my mother was my North Star, and she was my guiding force. So I think one very big factor in immigrant women, I think we are always modeling ourselves by our mentors and our peers. And if I've been very lucky that my mother has always been my guiding force, and her example and her generosity and her willingness to always serve others has been something that has shaped my career. So with that in mind, I think I was very much influenced to go into medicine. So, I decided to really do a lot of outreach in my own way through community-based primary care projects. As a medical student, I was very much in, I trained at Brooklyn Downstate Medical School. And there I really got involved in doing outreach to women in breast cancer screening programs in Brooklyn. And, finding ways that I could help other women that I always saw were women like my mother. the waiting room, waiting for a diagnosis or finding uncertainty and feeling there was fear and needing some help or guidance. So I found a lot of ways to get involved. And, I found that that was really a commitment I shared. I think some of this legacy and commitment to community is something that I also shared from my father. My father, as you know, has been a community pharmacist in Jamaica, Queens, serving Jamaica, Queens for more than 40 years, and is still at Estates Pharmacy in Jamaica. So this commitment to people in the community and local were very big on my mindset around how I was supposed to serve. And as you can see, Queens Public Library was one of those outreach events. I would do many, even before there was such a thing. There was a Queens Health Link where they really were starting to look at how to do more awareness building and cancer prevention and screening and education events. So I found it always to be the eager volunteer. So I did that. I also decided, like on my own, to go to American Cancer Society in Queens and become like a citizen activist, right? And I think that's something I'd like to share with the viewers, is that you can have a career, but you can still be very committed to your community. And many of us can give in ways that we don't even realize of our time. Sometimes it's not even medical, right? It can be just reading to some elderly in a nursing home, or finding a way to maybe create some gathering with people so that you're actually connecting with people in the community that might be alone, may not have the community. After a lot of those local events in mostly Brooklyn and Queens, I was very much also in the middle of medical school, and HIV and AIDS was a huge condition at the time, and it really shaped my training. I found that, a lot of people were passing and dying, and my commitment to palliative care and hospice and learning more about infectious disease was really modeled by some of the work that I was involved with in HIV/AIDS peer education through the STAR grant in the early 1990s. And that has always remained with me today. And part of it was, almost a model that is used in other developing countries, where you educate through peers. And so we had young high school and college students that we taught a curriculum of HIV/AIDS prevention, and then they would go out in the community and create outreach, so that it was people were learning from their own community members. And I think that's really the most effective. So I found that that was a huge mark on my early career as a medical student. And then, many years later, as I my mother actually was originally involved with Asania Cancer Mission, which is a cancer mission based in Bangladesh, where we originally emigrated from many years ago. And my mother was very much involved with their outreach in Queens and Long Island. And then many years later, after my mother passed in 2006, I got more attached to the work because I felt so much of her living legacy was doing that kind of outreach. So I think you have to kind of connect with the passion that you may have for a mission in life. Sometimes it is the journey and the experience. And for me, it was this journey with cancer that my mother went through, and I saw and I witnessed, and it actually has shaped me, I think, into being a very compassionate and caring physician. I understand how families deal with illness and disease. I faced it myself. So, in my own journey, it became very much a tool that was very helpful for me. I never felt alone. I felt like I had already been there. And it was a blessing for sure to be involved. I went to residency in downstate. From downstate, I went to residency in Montefiore in the Bronx. And in the Bronx and Montefiore, continued a lot of my community-based primary care training. A lot of my training was more psychosocial training, where the biopsychosocial model was used, because people don't just react to their illness. There's many factors. There's their social factors, their mental health factors, and all of these really have a big importance that sometimes individuals don't realize. And I think that kind of training where I was able to implement a lot of the biopsychosocial model has helped me be very committed and personalized in my care.
Yeah, Elora, that was my next question. Like, what is like, what do you think your next step? I'm glad that you mentioned about the Queens Public Library when your mother used to come to the library. As you know, we still have the Queens, Health Network services from Queens Public Library.
Yes.
We organize many things, and in future, we'd like to more breast cancer, awareness, activities or programs. And I'm glad that you already volunteered and you are a serious activist for this, matter. So I really appreciate that you, share with this. Thank you.
Yeah, I do think that, we have been very lucky. Selena and I have collaborated on both things that are commitment to breast cancer awareness, as well as cancer globally through Asania Cancer Mission. So I really appreciate our collaboration. I think that's also something that I'm very passionate about, is that women should network with other women. I think the best way that I have as an individual grown professionally and personally is that I have always sought out new environments and circles that have empowered and enriched my career, because I think a career is always in growth. There's different phases of career. So I think the good thing is having that mindset that you can incorporate new elements to your career and your tools so that you can become more evolved in who you are as an individual. Because what we're experiencing is not just a personal career, but it's a path, a mission in your life. And that's how I've accepted that. So when I became more interested in integrative health incorporates more of a body, mind, spirit approach. It all kind of fit very nicely with this biopsychosocial model. So in 2014, I finished my boards in integrative medicine, and I decided to stay close to the Bronx, where I've been practicing for the last 25 years. And thankfully, because of all of this experience and commitment, I found myself engaged in now in Einstein Cancer Center. I have been on a community advisory board, and I serve in a capacity where we try to address cancer disparities in people of color in the Bronx. We have very diverse ethnic groups, including Bangladeshi Americans, as immigrants from Africa, from Vietnam, Cambodia. We have so many Asian Pacific Islanders in the Bronx. And our goal is to enhance the care of cancer that they receive in the Bronx and make sure that they are having all of the best options and introduce clinical trials and cutting edge innovative immunotherapy and cancer research through our outreach and initiative. So a patient engagement and awareness is something now that I've been so committed to, and as well as research, because research is the reason why cancer mortalities have been decreasing in young women like myself. So, fast forward, all of this knowledge and this journey hit very close to home, because for me, myself, I had learned from all these wonderful mentors in my life, including Deepak Chopra and Andrew Weil, and so many Buddhist meditation experts, because I found that true healing comes from all these different sources, not only traditional medicine. So when it came to my own cancer journey, I was really blessed. I was able to really find my original cancer at a very early stage because of the screening I had done all my career. And I found great compassion was also then given to me. The compassion that you give to the world, sometimes you are grateful because it will return to you. And so the gift of that is that I had a wonderful healing journey. I was treated surgically, and I was able to not require any chemotherapy because of the genetics of my tumor. And a lot of that was really done in a similar fashion with an integrative model. So I was really grateful because I was able to use Reiki and acupuncture to help with pain management, which a lot of things are not used in traditional cancer journey. So that is something I'm a champion for. And that's my surgeon. I have to say, 3 months after I had 20 hours of surgery, I was able to go to the Susan G. Komen event and still be present so that we could do more outreach to South Asian women in the Bronx, because at the same year that I had had my oncotype done and my cancer journey, I also had been involved with the SAPNA, and SAPNA is another community event. It's a South Asian breast health awareness program. And in 2014, the same exact year I was diagnosed, we received a Susan G. Komen grant. And I was so grateful because we were able to do some of these community approaches now in the Bronx and Parkchester, where so many women were receiving mental health care. And now SAPNA is such a vibrant organization, as you know. And from 2011, I was on their board. And then afterwards, I've remained a close partner. And now through the Einstein Cancer Center, I've become a partner where we actually work with them now to do more cancer screening with vans and health fairs throughout. And we work with a lot of different groups, including Caribbean African group. We're also working with the Southeast Asian groups in the Bronx. And I've also been on many panels with women of color, African-American women. Pampered and Pick is a wonderful organization, and it was made by a family just similar to my family, where they lost a wonderful young daughter to breast cancer, a very aggressive kind. And their mission is to educate other women so that they can, make sure that nothing is left to chance, that women get all the education they need. They get screened early, because early detection is really the cure. That has been my mission. So I have been very blessed with this journey. I think the integrative model has helped me be a better patient and a doctor, because, at some point we are all going to be patients, and we have to learn lifestyle changes and modifications that can help us along the journey. But it's good to know the science, and I'm very evidence-based. So everything that we're learning now about genetics and the environment, it really is the environment. So the tools that we can use to modify our own individual risks are going to be through lifestyle changes. So diet and lifestyle can make a huge impact. And now a lot of communities are looking at how we can do teaching kitchens, cancer prevention, nutrition. Even in the Bronx now, our scientists are looking at environmental toxins, things in our environment, especially the air pollution, and why there's increased risk of lung cancer. Smoking risk, of course, has always been there, but there are other entities that we forget, other toxins. So there is a lot to be shared. And so the message, and, this is all of the details, but more importantly, I think there's a lot of new things on the horizon, ways to maybe we could have a liquid biopsy and see if women are still at risk and not have to do so much surgery. There's a lot more breast preservation. So the trends are unfortunately creeping up, where cancer is still present, and it's still the highest rate in certain age groups, especially as we get older. But I think we have a lot more knowledge, and I think especially this integrative oncology, and it's a different approach. It's an approach that I really value. It has been a blessing to me in my own journey. And so I'm hoping that we can all remember that we have to treat the whole patient and not disease, right? Because ultimately, our healing comes from our spiritual center. So I'm a very spiritual person, and I think true healing comes from within, because sometimes you have to surrender yourself, right, to the universe and let people help you as well. I think that's a big thing about community, and why community and women that are more engaged in their community and have more support, why they actually do better is because they have the love and support of their community. And, one thing is true, Selena, like if more people pray for you, it's a blessing. When I had cancer surgery, I had churches, mosques, all of my patients, different community groups. They put me in praying circles. I think it's always a blessing. Prayers are needed, especially now in this world that we're living in with so much.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're right. Like, as we learn from you, you are really a champion, Dr. Ilora Rafiq. You are a role model. So I was wondering, like, you are doing so much, in your career and then, profession. What do you think? How often the any women need to check for mammogram? Because when we heard like you have a breast cancer, it's just like right there killing you. So of course we did the support group. I can tell you, like one of my best friend in New York, she was screened breast cancer, and we supported her. Like for example, we take her to eat outside, go somewhere, because once we learn like, oh my God, someone has a breast cancer, right there, like, the scared, everybody is scared. So what do you think?
Yeah, I have the great gift and the opportunity to always be of real support to patients, because it is every other week that I have patients who become diagnosed with cancer, whether it's breast, colon, prostate. And it's really, to me, what I learned as well is that it's in the mind. It's a mindset. If you think of it as a journey of fear, and you don't have faith and hope, then you're going to be stuck in fear. But if your mind is already focused on healing, and you are resilient, and you see that in someone who encourages you and supports you, then the mindset is really the issue. I feel when I developed cancer, the biggest lesson is that what cancer does, it asks you the question, are you do you want to live? It should not be
That's
asking
for
you,
sure. Yeah.
are you going to die? It
Yeah.
should be, how am I living, and am I living fully? And every person, I think, who has gone through that journey, how difficult it is or not,
Yeah, it is good.
I think most of us then look at life and every moment as very precious. So the importance of really then being present and being grounded and understanding that everybody in your circle, your family, your friends, your community is really your healing environment, and finding that resource. So I think it's a great lesson, and it's unfortunate, but more and more of us need to connect more in person. I think the pandemic has also made it difficult. People were kind of shut down for
Yeah, that's for
years,
sure.
and now I think we also need to reach out to the people that aren't so outgoing, right? There's a lot of older people in the community, and they're very lonely, and even loneliness and being in isolation is not good. So I think there's a
Bottom
lot.
line is, yeah, bottom line is like we need to build our own support group. Like when you find somebody diagnosed with a cancer or anything, any sort of like life-threatening disease, that's so important. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and in general, many things can affect us, but we need to look at inflammation. Many times in our South Asian community, we're very high risk for blood sugar or diabetes, and creating more inflammation in our body if there's diabetes or pre-diabetes. We really need to watch that in addition. So we may have genetics that we cannot control, but we can definitely try to work on many other things in our environment and our lifestyle. So I think this is great because this is part of the Pampered and Pink group where we were doing a lot of outreach. And, there are so many wonderful women that I meet, including in this picture, you have Karen Peterson. She was someone who she advocated for herself to be part of a clinical trial. And with that advocacy, she realized her stage 4 breast cancer. She started an immunotherapy clinical trial, and she has been in remission. So if more women like Karen can be encouraged to get more of the care that is now making a difference, I think we can save more lives, because even now with African American women, the rates are still higher for their risk of death because of the lack of trust and knowledge around what is available. And even in Sapna, we were I'm still very much involved with some of the community events. This was our scan van that we do. We're still using different screening vans, and we have community health workers that usually come and assess who's at risk. And these are more in Parkchester and also in Queens now. So here is the Susan G. Komen Luncheon, where Sapna was recognized as an innovation award for their impact in helping South Asian women receive proper screening, especially those that might be undocumented and uninsured. So I'm very proud of the work, but I'm more proud of the relationships and the commitment that we have amongst all the different young women and men that have volunteered. We have so many beautiful volunteers, and I think volunteering is something that is very American. Participating in our democracy is all an effort of really making yourself available. And I think, many people want the government to do for us, but what we need to do is get out there and roll up our sleeves and help others. Food pantries, Sapna, since the pandemic has hit, Sapna has also been involved in giving out food at a food pantry, even throughout Eid and Ramadan. They've been really very involved with communities, as well as getting resources through Imana and different other faith-based organizations. So, I recommend everyone to take some time out in their busy life and really just be a volunteer, because that is where the magic happens. And that's where you realize you have so much more to be grateful for than you realize. And I think we take for granted all the gifts we have and the blessings. So I do recommend that. And, to me, I'm always looking at the blessing that I have and, what's next. Maybe I'll get involved in writing more about the journey, maybe a podcast. I'm excited about all the opportunities that exist, and I'm still very much proud of the legacy I have. And I like to always commit that to the example and the resilience that my mother had shown throughout her life. And that, if I can't do this much, I think, I can only do so much. I'm sure she would be proud, but I am grateful for that example in my life.
Dr. Elora Rafiq, you are a champion. You are a rock star. The more I'm learning you, I can't wait to read your book or podcast, anything. That will be blessings for our community and then women in general. As you know, Queens has 2.3 million, residents. 47%, speak other languages at home. And I'm with the Queens Public Library for 25 years. As you also know, that the demographic had changed. There is so many things to do. For example, volunteering. You said the word volunteer, magic happened. That's true. I mean, when you want to share or do a little bit more extra, that's not only for your accomplishment, but it is also mutual benefit. The organization you will be volunteering, for example, Sapna, I did volunteer, and also I worked with in some program from Queens Public Library when I was at NAP, New Americans Program. So Sapna is an organization in my lifetime I learned You guys are doing a lot. You mentioned on your talk you are helping the South Asian, African American, even though Middle Eastern people, and it's a wonderful journey, Dr. Laura Rafiq, to learn your journey this way through this program. And I hope you will continue doing this. And you are a terrific person, and we would love to work with you in near future. I have some fun questions,
Okay.
kind of like personal, and I will start with this. Like, you are a mother of
Yes.
two, you have a
Yes.
beautiful two children,
I have
and
two
talk
boys.
about something about your family, your husband, and your family.
So I have been very lucky. Part of what I did not share is obviously as a woman, as a pioneer or an immigrant woman, I was very blessed to have been raised, I think, like a son by my father. My father was very progressive. And I think my husband has always been super supportive of everything I've done. My husband, Ashik, is a biochemist. He's a researcher. He is a scientist, basically, but he has always been a yes for me. If I choose to do something, and if I changed my path when I left the hospital and decided to open a
Yeah.
practice of my own, he raised an eyebrow, but he said, okay, you do what makes you happy. I think that is invaluable when you have people that believe in you and that
Yeah.
have faith in you. But I also think that, women often think that it has to be the women in their lives. But I've been very blessed. I have a younger brother who is a lawyer, and he's also my advocate, Nafis. And I think in general, my children, I'm very women centric in my work. And, I've been blessed with two boys. And I think the
Yeah.
blessing of that is I think hopefully they are true feminists, and they're very interested in equality so that they understand and respect women. I think people far often don't realize how it's important to raise good men,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
also part of the journey.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
but I have been very lucky in my life, and my kids are grown now. They're both in college, and one is just recently also graduated
Yeah,
from UConn
congratulations on that. Yeah, I
2 weeks
saw that
ago.
in
So
Facebook.
it's been more than anything. My dad and my brother and my husband and we were there at his graduation. So it's, definitely enjoy the time. Time with your family is a gift. And, if anything, I think we forget that, we forget how much a gift it is.
You are a terrific woman, Dr. Rafiq. So, next question. What mantra do you live by? Like, you can elaborate a little bit more. Yes.
I do like Rumi. I think Rumi is a tremendous poet, and his motto is that it's almost like I think there's like there's it's like everything is going to work in my favor. I'm a big optimist, so I
Yes.
feel that that's like one of the big things. Also, I would say like carpe diem or seize the day. I'm always
Yes.
about if something is happening and I'm passionate about it, I feel that sometimes a beautiful opportunity will arise, and that means I'm meant to be there. So I follow my inner guide. I don't really plan intensely. I know that I'm meant to be somewhere, and I get guided by that intuition.
That's great. That's great to hear that. I know you're a very friendly and then, friendly person and very generous. And then, yeah, I know, that's what I wanted to let our audience know. And what do you wish you did it more? Like, what if you want to do it more? What that could be? Anything that you want to do it more? Like,
I
you're doing
think
a lot, yes.
Yeah, I think that's one thing where I think, maybe if I've been told, as you have also shared with me, that my voice matters, and my legacy and my commitment to outreach for cancer care. I feel like I could reach more people through a podcast and maybe writing a book, because I think that anybody's experience really inspires someone else. I think the inspiration of that would help. I would love to do research on more integrative approaches to cancer, as well as, I think maybe go on speaking tours more to speak and share the message. I think I'd like to always be a beacon of hope for people, because I feel that hope was given to me, and I don't underestimate the sacrifices that my parents have made, so that I should share that legacy with others.
Yeah, that's like true. Like we are immigrant, as you know, I also came with my husband long time ago, and then we are raising our family. So how do you balance your, family and your work? How do you balance it?
It's always been a juggle. I won't say that it's ever easy. I think you have to learn to be a magician, and women are magicians because we make things happen. And we really, though, we have to then seek support, right? Like we have to have supportive people in our life. My mother and my mother-in-law were very instrumental in helping me as a young doctor, raising the kids. My mother was going through terminal care so that I could be with her, work full time, take care of my young toddlers, and still finish my master's in Columbia in the public health school. That was my dream. And when I had entered that program, it was right at 9/11. And believe it or not, 2 years passed in the program, and I got pregnant every year of the 2-year program. And I looked at some of the women the first day I joined the program, and I said, wow, they're managing their children. They have 3 children. They're here working full time and doing this part time. It was not a program. I was doing an exec program. I was working full time and part time school and raising the kids. I ended up pregnant twice. And by the time I reached August of 2003, when I graduated, I actually had not only the diploma, but I had 2 kids. Wow. And it is a true story, Lena, that I was in labor. While I was in labor, I did my final exam for health.
Seriously?
While I was in labor.
You are a superwoman. You are a superwoman.
I don't know. Maybe, Allah has given me the strength, but I think there, if you are intentional, right? If you make a decision, you want to do something, I do believe that you receive divine guidance. Like the universe helps you get there, but you have to first want it.
And also
ask for help. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Ask
and also hard work, dedication, and perseverance. The success doesn't come alone. The industry is the key to the success. I learned it like when I was young.
I think when I look back now, though, you want to measure your success. I think more now as I'm looking on in my time as now being more of a mentor for younger. I have a young medical student or nurses that are training. I'm finding that being a mentor for younger people in the healthcare field has been a big gift, or just for people in general going through cancer journey, like being there to also provide emotional support, but also to give them guidance. And I think that's something we do gain, is that we become wise with experience. But remember to always make decisions that are worthy of the people who sacrificed for you, because more than anything, when you leave your legacy, nobody will remember all the accomplishments that are material. They will remember the person you were, your integrity, your character, your dignity, how you treated people, and how people treated you is all based on your own choice. And sometimes I think we are chasing too many things that are not going to last forever. But, I think there's always a golden rule, and we should live by that.
True. That's true. So true. So what do you do when you have free time? I know you don't have any free time. by organizing this workshop. I found that, like, we wanted to meet at 12 o'clock, but we couldn't make time until 6 o'clock. I was working, you were working. So you was, working. So how do what do you do when you have just free time just for
Well,
yourself?
you have to be, you have to be, you know, a, a magician to find time to really have personal self-care. I need to do more self-care. I will admit to that. I'm not good at that.
Because
But
I know you are
I
a
am,
great cook. I know
but
you're a great
I
cook.
am a lover of books and learning, and
Mhm.
I'm a constant learner. And every chance I get, I love going to book signings. I have a library at home that I'm very happy to have books that are inspire me. I think, fiction is really where reading fiction is really important for your brain, the activity of the brain, your imagination. It helps your mind if you are also able to kind of lose yourself in a story. I think good storytellers and artists are really gifted because they have that ability. So I find myself really involved in, even Tuesday night, I had the real blessing and honor to meet Dr. Abraham Verghese. He's a
Really?
physician
Oh,
author. He has a large epic novel called The Covenant of Water. And I met him 2 days ago in Manhattan for a book signing. I've been waiting to hear from him. And his words were so inspiring that, as a physician, sometimes we do see people in their highest dramatic moments. And so from that inspiration, sometimes great characters can appear because we have seen so much emotion and we know how to deal with those emotional elements. But I was so blessed to hear from him and hear him live. But also today, he gave the commencement speech at Harvard, and he was so inspiring. So I do love great leaders and thought leaders, people. I like to go and really learn. I think even this year, I try to set new goals for myself when it comes to learning. And I think that's amazing because I'm still curious. I think the biggest flaw is when we think we have it all figured out. That when
that's
people
great.
are too arrogant, that they feel that they know it all. I am still at this age thinking that I need to learn something new.
You're young.
And it's really important.
We have some question from the Facebook Live. I'm
Oh,
so grateful that our viewers are asking questions. So, first question is from Miss Valerie Howard. What happened you with your journey?
what helped me?
Yeah,
I
what helped you?
I found that,
You
I
tell.
found learning stress management tools through the integrative medicine that I learned. That nurturing healing science was very important for me. So before surgery, I was able to do visualization and breath work exercises. Breath
Mhm.
work is a great tool when you're in stress mode. It helps you to take your stress factor and change it into rest and digest. So I learned a lot of great tools. I am also practice Reiki energy, energy healing. Some of that also helped me in my own journey because I received Reiki massage after surgery and I requested that in the hospital, and I had acupuncture seeds in my ear to help with pain. And I think my pain was less. So I think certain integrative models have really helped me.
Thank you, Dr. Rafiq. And Sharmin Haq Shampa, she said that knowledge is power. Very true.
Oh,
So, Soyed
thank you,
Rahman,
Charmaine. Charmaine is actually very involved with Bangladeshi American Pharmacists Association, and actually, I was a guest speaker at their conference for the pharmacists. So I really enjoyed speaking there too. She's wonderful.
excellent. Thank you, Sharmin. Syed Rahman, very informative. So let's see, we have a few more questions and we are coming to the ends. But still, I want to read the comments and the question. Bear with me. Dr. Mij, thank you for sharing your story, Dr. Elora.
Oh, this is a colleague of mine who is also a physician. She is a rheumatologist and a young mother. And I think, we're all struggling to balance it all and create.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Dr.
Thank
Mona
you.
Lynn, thank you.
And Miss Valerie Howard again. Wow, you are a blessed lady.
I really am. I agree, Valerie, 100%.
Thank you, Miss Valerie. Next one, Millie Sanchez. Good evening and thank you for sharing.
Millie Sanchez is a patient of mine, and many of my patients are actually logged in, which I'm really excited about. And some of them will probably watch the YouTube later if there is a recording. But so many of the patients have shared with me their journey. So I think, we forget that as physicians, we also learn from our patients. So I've learned so much from people like Millie and many others who also go through their own healing. And, they really empowered me. So I think that has also helped me to be
Thank
open.
you. Thank you, Miss Millie Sanchez. Next one, Valerie Howard. You are an awesome example and like to help others. God loves us best when we help one another. Thank you, Miss Valerie Howard. Yeah.
Very
And then
true. Yeah.
she also said self-care is a huge plus. Thank you, everyone. I mean, we'll wait if there is any question. I'll read that to you. But as I said, we came like towards the end. But I would ask you this. I know you love to travel, right? So what is your bucket list? And which place or where did you go last time? How was it?
So my last vacation was with a group of friends and my husband to Tulum, Mexico, in the jungle, and it was really quite a beautiful experience. But it was nice because we have a very close group of friends, so you need to find people you can travel with and you can enjoy and you can de-stress, because then when you come back from that kind of a vacation, you can be recharged. Right?
Yes.
You can feel ready for that. And for my bucket list, there are many places I'd like to go on an African safari. I want to go to Bora Bora. I am excited to hopefully live to see more and more sunsets. I'm a sunset chaser. I can just stand at the beach and watch sunsets. So I love that. So I'm looking forward to more.
That's great. So awesome. So we'd like to do, more breast cancer awareness program. October is coming. We'd love to have your, presentation with the Queens Public Library. And today we have a really proud moment to presenting you for our viewers. Yeah, go ahead. Any final thoughts or anything you want to share with us?
Well, I thank you. I thank you for allowing me this wonderful opportunity and privilege to share with everyone what was helpful to me. I think not only is this Asian American Pacific Islanders Month, but May is also a mental health month and mental health awareness. And I think mental health is something that also SAPNA very much involved with South Asian women, as well as immigrant stress, just from being immigrants and in this current climate, that we should all reach out to others because there is so much stress and conflict and concern. So please think about others during this very difficult time. And also next month is actually June, in early June is Cancer Survivor Month. So I think I've been the perfect guest for this segment because I've been able to bridge both. I think, there is a huge movement now to work on how to enhance and help women thrive, not just survive. So I'm really excited about next month and doing some of the work through the Cancer Advisory Board. So I appreciate all of your effort too, Selena. Selena is, if many of you don't know, she is extremely culturally involved in so many activities. She has a wonderful family, her kids, including her daughter, who I've come to know since she was a little girl. And she is such a talented young lady. And I think, you are such a blessing, so much of your other work and your outreach that you just do because you care about the culture and what you do to uplift the Queens Public Library and so many of our immigrant communities that the library is served by is something that we are very grateful for. So thank you, Selena, for all your work.
Thank you. I didn't expect that, but we have 2 more questions before we go.
Okay.
So we have Nicole Pog. Thank you for sharing, so inspiring, and for listening to your patients. Online is great, but I hope to see this conversation in person. So Nicole, thank you so much. She's a librarian. She's a very terrific librarian at Central Public Library. She's my colleague and best buddy. So she's requesting to have this conversation at Central Library in person. What do you think?
As I said before, I volunteer and I regularly volunteer. So I will commit to coming out to the public library and being there live anytime you need me. That would be great, especially for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. Let's hope to plan for that.
Thank you, Nicole, the best librarian. Thank you so much for your question. Nayabi Gomez, thank you, Elora and Selena, for this deep noted information of so many things you covered. And Elora, thank you for everything. Yeah. So.
Oh, thank you, Naomi. Naomi is such a wonderful young woman. She is my patient who is extremely gifted and talented, and I'm so grateful for her as well. So, as I said, all of the relationships in life are blessings, and I think we should always be thankful for every single one. I think when you and the prayers, right? If we don't have people praying for us, then we are missing, right? The fact that people are praying for us is why we're here, right? And so our faith and our courage and hope for the future. So I thank you. I think hopefully we can do more and more conversations together, Selena, in the future.
Connecting and networking more. As you mentioned, this is what I learned from Queens Public Library. They trained me. I'm not superficially intelligent. I just want to give back to the community. As I said, the Bangladeshi community is growing, and then we are celebrating. As you know, Queens Public Library celebrate every single thing, and we are for everybody. This is a safe haven for not only immigrants, everybody, undocumented, asylum seekers. We are a haven for them. So I'm blessed one that I get to do this kind of program, and I cannot thank you enough. And MCD and Mr. Eve, who helped us organize this. This is a really blessings, and I'm glad, and then I'm honored that you shared your picture with your mother. I knew the story, but sharing your journey and your mother's story with our audience, and then I believe we had a very good crowd and a smart audience who also had a terrific question, and that makes us successful to do this program. Hope will inspire many other women, and we have many other successful pioneer women in our community, not only Bangladeshi, in different ethnic group. So we'll be presenting, little by little, in future. And any final thought for our viewers, or for me and for Queens Public Library? We are to the end. Thank you, Dr. Elora Rafiq.
I think I would like to tell the community that the love of community comes from each and every one of us doing our part. So try to always get involved with your community, because when we are nurtured and raised by the community, we have to give back. So giving back is a blessing. So I appreciate that opportunity and look forward to being back at the public library with you soon. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, the audience. And
great opportunity.
Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.